Holiday parties are coming up, and every year the same thing happens. You tell yourself you'll have just one cookie. 2 hours later, you've lost count. If that sounds familiar, here's a strategy you can use. Hi, I'm Karen. I used to struggle with compulsive overeating, but I found a way to stop, lose weight, and create a healthy and vibrant life. Now I help people do the same with simple, practical tips. And because I love to cook, I also share simple, tasty recipes to make healthy eating effortless. Here's something important to understand. Comfort doesn't mean pleasure. Comfort means something you're familiar with. And that's a critical distinction when it comes to how we eat. We fall into habitual patterns with food, like the way we approach the table at a family dinner or a holiday party. Sometimes we're not even aware of what those patterns are. We're just acting on autopilot. And that familiar place with our habits and reactions is our comfort zone. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say this is your comfort zone. It's what's familiar to you. It's where most of us live, most of the time, and it's usually where we want to stay. That's human nature. This next circle is the challenge zone. This is where growth takes place. Research shows that being willing to step just outside your comfort zone, right here at the boundary, is where the biggest growth happens. The further you get from your comfort zone, the bigger the challenges become, until you reach this third circle, the overwhelm zone. This is where we freeze. We go into self-protective mode, and then we retreat. Sometimes life throws us into the overwhelm zone, and we have no control over that. But I'm talking today about what you do have control over and how you can challenge the boundary of your comfort zone in a way that creates growth. So let's take those winter holiday parties as an example. You approach the food table. It's laden with cookies. There's a lot of variety, and it all looks delicious. And especially at this time of year, the cookies are mostly all homemade, made from traditional family recipes, and most often made by the people we love. First step, identify your habitual patterns. Be an observer of your thoughts and behaviors, non-judgmental, kind, and objective. Stand back and just watch yourself, because that awareness is the first step. That actually happened to me at a party in the early days when I was just starting to change my eating habits. I watched myself binge on chips. The habitual and the familiar part was eating way too many chips and also protecting myself from my own self-loathing at the lack of control and the embarrassment I was feeling. The challenge part was standing aside and watching it happen objectively and kindly. I saw myself in a different light. It was the first step in recognizing that for me, it's just too hard to stop. So I don't start. Start where you are if you want to change your eating habits. It's important to start where you are, not where you want to be. And the first part of that process is knowing where you are. If you decide you need to make a change, clean out your cupboards, go out and join a gym. That's starting where you want to be, and it's starting in the overwhelm zone. And that's why the changes rarely last. This works with exercise too. If you've been doing nothing, push your comfort zone boundary with 5 minutes of yoga every day. Make it non-negotiable. If you make those 5 minutes non-negotiable and do it every day, it stretches your comfort zone and gives you something to build on. Now, I can hear you saying, I should watch myself overeat and be kind to myself for it? Exercise 5 minutes a day? What good is that going to do? But here's the thing. Research shows that small changes done consistently over time yield bigger results than big changes, because big changes can usually only be sustained for a short period. Think about it. All you have to do is be 1% better this week than you were last week. In a year, that's 52%. The edge of our comfort zone is where growth happens. Not where everything feels comfortable and familiar, and not in overwhelm where you freeze and retreat. Right at that edge, in the challenge zone, this is where your world expands. If you'd like to learn more, there's a link below where we can continue the conversation on Substack. And we'll see you next week.